Hello, my listeners. How are you doing today? You're welcome to this edition of my Liberation Gospel. My name is Ukachukwu Okorie. I am the editor of Africa World News paper. Today, I have a message for my brothers and sisters from the Edo-speaking region. I know there are many nations among the Edos, but yes, if you are in the present day Edo State in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, my message is for you. And as well, if you've been following me on my Liberation Gospel series, you can as well be part of this my conversation with the people of Edo. I know many of you may not be listening to me live now, but subsequently, if you get to have this message, I want you to listen attentively and do understand my treatise or thesis this evening. Like I said, my name is Ukachukwu Okorie, but before then, I believe in God in heaven, and I thank Him for His wisdom and for His messages, and I implore Him to give me the energy and strength to dish out this message the way I understand it, and help you to understand my point of view. I am making this message or giving out to you without any reservation. I don't intend to bring down any culture or to cast aspersion or anything of such. Rather, I want to bridge the gap and make us understand ourselves. Like you may have heard, my name is Ukachukwu Okorie. I am of the Igbo nation and a Biafran by political orientation. and economic sphere. I want to make a quote on from the great Nelson Mandela, although many people have started arguing based on his shortcomings, but notwithstanding, he lived a great man. He said, in the end, reconciliation is a spiritual process which requires more than just a legal framework. It has to happen in the hearts and minds of the people. That was Nelson Mandela. He made this quotation. Why did I make this quotation? In the course of my message, you'll understand why I decided to make this quotation. You can share this message if you deem it fit, but it's going to go viral later. It may not be so speedy this time, but this message is for posterity. And the history of Edo, in as much as I am not of Edo origin, but I am grounded with the history of the world, with particular reference in the history of Africa, and Edo, so to say. Yes, I may be countered on some of the findings of my research, but along the line, I wouldn't hesitate to highlight few things to buttress my point. The Edo people have great history. And many of you may be conversant with the Benin Empire. Some of you who studied history, political science, may have heard about the Benin Empire. If you read books too, there's a particular book, literature. It's called Ovoramwem Nobody See. During our time, I don't know if that book is still in the Nigerian educational curriculum. If you studied literature in the 90s or I think 2000, early 2000, that book was in the Nigerian educational curriculum. Ovoramwem Nobody See. The book was written by Olarutimi. And when I was in the seminary, because I attended a junior seminary during my high school, it was a compulsory test, and we read the book. It was a very interesting book by Olarutimi. At the time, I crammed that book from beginning to the end, because we put up a drama, a movie out of that book. The book is a tragic drama. And it gives, I mean, it's like a window into the times, the peak of the Benin Empire and the fall of the empire. The last sovereign monarch then was Ovoramwem Nobody, as he was called, maybe his title, the son of Adolo, who was later exiled by the British authorities. And in the course of my thesis, I want to use him to make assertions and to remind my brothers and sisters from the Benin part of Edo of the importance of this man to the struggles of the African in uplifting mankind and the black man. But before I go further, I want to recognize the presence of other nations in the Edo political setup. Among the nations in Edo today, we have the Benis, the Ishan, the Owan, the Esako, the Opamheri, Uneme, and we equally have Igbos in Edo. Whatever the Nigerian political structure, we want people to understand there are Igbos in Edo states, but they are of the Ika Igbo clan. where you have the Ibanke. Many of you may know about the Ibanke. We call them the Igbo Akere in Orium 1 local government. I may not pronounce it excellently well the way you do, but you understand what I'm talking. We have the Oada too, Otobaye, the Iru, the Ekpon, and Obeka. These Ikaibo clans, they are clustered in 3 local governments in Edo State. But I have this message for you, my brothers and sisters, from the Edo people. Until 1897, the Benin Empire thrived, flourished, even conquered territories, far territories. Today there's discussions and counter verbal positions on the actual origin of the Lagos stool, kingship stool, and then, but that is not the part of the subject I'm talking about today. Why I'm making this statement to you is the position of the Federal Republic of Nigeria at the moment. I happen to veer into an Edo group, particularly a Benin group, recently, in which they were having issues talking on cultural things. But what I discovered is that there are some of them that have issues with the quest for the restoration of the Biafran Republic. And when they do that, they directly attack the Igbos. I decided to correct some impression there, in which at the end of the debate I had with one of the propagandists of the falsehood there, and many of them came to understand that what I was saying at then was truth and nothing but the truth. There's nothing like truth, because they say truth is like pregnancy. When it's time for delivery, the tummy will protrude. You cannot hide it. Even if you are using Gedol or what teenagers use to conceal early pregnancy, at a time when the pregnancy is ripe, you can no longer hide it. And that is what we are seeing in the Federal Republic of Nigeria today. Truth has been swept under the carpet, but at a time when under the carpet a lot of debris has been moved under it, it will start smelling that if you are in the room, you will be forced to remove the carpet and do a thorough cleanup. That is what is happening in Nigeria today. Hence, it is good for us to begin to look inward, to take action. We have to take action. We can't continue to go directionless. Like I said, I wouldn't veer into Edo history, because Edo history is long. They are one of the it's one of the most interesting histories in Africa. And as a young man, I've always loved Edo history, arts and culture. It's very, their history is one of those that make Africa tick. And as a matter of fact, because of the book I read, or we read in the seminary by Olarotimi, I was really inspired by their history. And I don't forget, when I visited Lagos the first time, I went to the National Museum to look for the picture of Vorawem Nobaisi. It was there I saw his picture. The first time I saw the picture of the man, clad in white. It was like white piece or wrapper, you know, beside his shoulder, sitting on a stool, with a mustache. Like if you are conversant with Nigerian political actors, you know, Okadibo, Chuba Okadibo used to have this kind of mustache. So he had that mustache. And, you know, I was really impressed, because the book by Olarutimi was very interesting. I think it's one of the best drama, though it was a tragic drama. But that book showcased a very rich history of the Benin. And ever since then, I've been fascinated by Benin culture and arts. And it's still in me that in 2014, I traveled from Dublin to the Benin Palace. I went to Benin. I made contact with the palace, and on their invitation, I toured the palace. I was taken around by the palace librarian, Nosa somebody. If you check it up on YouTube, you will see the tour. It's in 4 parts. At the end of the day, I had pictorials. They took me around the palace. I met with Clifford Akenzua, the assistant secretary to the Oba at that time. May his soul rest in peace there. The former Oba. And I used this opportunity to pay my regards to the current current Oba Iware Uku Abolobolo, the Omonoba Nedo. I know from there I understood a lot of things. I've done a lot of talks on Edo culture and history. There was a time I was invited by the TVC in Lagos. If you see, I thought they put it up on their YouTube. I talked about African stolen artifacts around the world, and I made mention of the Benin artifact because the Benin were known, and up to this day, their carvings, their bronze artworks. And when I visited Benin, I bought some. It's something. This is part of the things we've been championing. That a lot of things from the African continent can give us money. It's not about oil and limestone and limescale, and we have a lot of. We are blessed with many things, and every part of the continent, particularly where we dwell today. And I saw that in Benin. When I traveled to Benin, I spent about 2.5 weeks, and I toured the city. And I saw wonderful things. I went to the Oba market. I went inside. It was a very huge market, bustling with people. The most important thing I saw in that market were there were lots of Igbo people in the market, contributing to the advancement of commerce in that part of the world. I smiled. From there, from Benin, I traveled into the Asian land, Ebele, Epoma, Igueben. I saw all those places. And while I was traveling, I recorded a lot of things, took pictures, interacted. I was even surprised that inside Asian communities' interiors, you have Igbos who built houses with their families. They intermarried. That's in one of the communities I went to with my host. I just heard being played loudly Osadebe. Many of you do know Osadebe, the Igbo high life crony, though he's dead, but his song still reverberates. And as such, I want to tell you, with this narrative, it is important because if I start relaying my accounts, my personal experiences, we may not have that time. So, like I said earlier on, I went to this group online. I saw what they posted. It was false. And I decided to engage the young man who posted that. I said, look, what you are writing is wrong. There's no problem between the Biafrans and the Beninese. What you are stating here is wrong. And I decided to give him a solid account, historical account, with fact and figure, that at the end of the day, some of the members of his own group now saw the truth in what I said. I'm not in any argument to win, but I'm just in get involved in argument to say the truth, to correct things. Because as a historian, I did my first degree in history. There are people who call armchair historians, especially the British. We regard them, some of the armchair historians. They were in their cafes in London writing about Africa, calling us baboons, that we are of no use, that we are intellectually bereft, and things like that. But all these things are cock and bull story, lies from the pit of hell. Good thing, the world is now a globalist community. Many of us are in every nook and cranny of the world, in their own institutions, in their classrooms, studying with them, performing better than them. Even though that we are still handicapped, as a matter of fact, we still do well in our course of study. And as such, you, my brothers of the Benin and other Edo heritage, it is important. I want you to understand my message, that the way Nigeria is going now is terrible. We have kept quiet for a long time, and we cannot continue keeping quiet. The current crisis we are in at the moment, I mean, the global pandemic of COVID-19 has further exposed for some of us who have refused to see. We've seen that we don't have leadership. The people at the helm of our leadership from onset has been bad. But it's just that we keep keeping quiet because as a result of selfishness, as a result of intimidation and the likes, we think if we are personally better off, that it's okay. But that is not sound, because when you are better off, your society is not better off. I mean, there will be insecurity. One of the problems that we do have in Nigeria today as a result of insecurity is because of poverty. Not that we don't have the resources, not that we don't have the wherewithal, but we don't have the people that are genuinely interested in sorting out the mess. And unfortunately, many of us have allowed ourselves to be bamboozled with lies. We have allowed ourselves to be cowed down. We have allowed ourselves to be pawns in their political chessboard. But the worst thing is that we have allowed ourselves to be used in a terrible manner. It is important for us to begin to wake up. My visit to Benin and other parts of Edo, I think 5 years ago, opened my eyes on a lot of things. But ever since, I've been keeping documents, I've been writing books, I've been keeping account, waiting for the right moment, because many things have happened. But it is good for us to start telling ourselves the truth, because the truth will always set us free. No matter how you are, even if you go, some people, it's not about going to church or believing in God or following a pastor or being in the mosque. And if you're a truthful person, if you are a truthful person, you are a righteous person. Because there's nothing like the truth. When you stand on truth, things will go well. If a society is driven by truth, it's a just society. And as such, before I continue, some of us do know, understand the political history of Nigeria, whereas many don't know, because Nigeria, the Nigerian leadership, they are not interested in the education of the citizenry. We've been saying it, but it looks as if we don't have nationalists, we don't have patriots in the country. Those we call our founding fathers were not patriots. They were myopic. They were just interested in their own. They were self-centered, and that's why we often talk about them being founding fathers. We put their heads in the currency, but unfortunately, they weren't. Because if they were good enough, if they had Nigeria at heart, Nigeria by now should have forged together. Because we have a lot of things. This is a big country and a rich country that will accommodate all. But unfortunately, it is not so. And as such, Edo State today, you all know, was formed in 1991. But it was formed from the northern portion of Bendel State. The southern portion became Delta State, I mean, out of the Bendel State. And if you know, conversant with the history of Nigeria, before this, in 1963, people of that territory voted to separate themselves from the western region of Nigeria, because when Nigeria became independent, it was divided into three regions. The northern region that was left intact by the British and handed power to the Fulanese. Despite the fact that there were numerous nations in that northern part of Nigeria, and if you look at the map, it looks as if they are big. It's just a landmass. And the British further came to the south and divided the south into two. Dividing the western region and the eastern region, and muscled the Edos into the western region. But in 1963, the Edos and people of that territory voted, and the mid-western region came out from that vote. So this became the Midwestern state following the reorganization in 1967, when they created states too. They continued with that Midwestern region and made it a state. It was from a second reorganization in 1976 until the division in 1991, in which Edo was carved out. Before then, it was Bendel State. So, and I thought before, if I start like I said, if I start talking about the history of the Edos or Benin, is long, because when the British came on in that southern part of Nigeria, the Benin Kingdom was mighty. It was strong, no doubt about that. Some part of Igbo territories were part of that Benin Kingdom, especially the Eka part, like you are seeing today, the Ewankes. You seen we call them the Igbo Akere. Up to today, they still face a lot of problems in that part of Nigeria, but that is not the main subject of my talk today. But if you still do research, or if you know anybody from the Banke, they will tell you what they've been facing there. Even some of them are not even allowed to contest elections because of their names. There's marginalization there. There's harassment. There are Ika communities, Igbo community. When we say Ika are Igbos. Ika Igbo. They are the Aneoma people. We have many of them in Edo State. Nobody talks about them because of, just like there are still Igbos in Benue State. But these things are as a result of the Civil War conflict, but I'll be coming to that. And this is why I'm talking to my brothers and sisters in Edo, because we need to understand ourselves more. We are not fighting with anyone in the real sense of it. We need to close ranks. And what are we looking for? We want to emancipate ourselves. We are in shackles of bondage. Whether you want to believe it or not, your heart knows the truth. You know that the country is not prosperous. We lack in the midst of plenty. And invaders, foreigners, are ruling over us. Not that these foreigners are interested in our development, but they're just there to loot, raid, rape, and deal with the people. They have ulterior motive. They're bringing in their people. We've seen the policies are geared on bringing in their people. This thing happened in some other countries, but there was conflict as a matter of the fact, because people resisted seriously. And if we keep quiet, there will be problem. If we keep quiet, our land will disappear. But I know that the Edo people are not that kind of people. If you remember Ovora and when nobody see, is he the great grandfather of the current about the last sovereign monarch of the Benin Empire that was burnt and invaded by the British in 1897, in which he was later exiled to Calabar. It tells more about the Edos. But we need to remind the current Edos that where are the strengths of the Edos? Because it looks like the propaganda that the destroyers of Nigeria keep pushing out have refused to let many understand the problems inherent in the terrible contraception called Nigeria, because Nigeria is, as a matter of fact, is a market for, is a company for the British, and they are still making us dry. But while it is good to look at this company at the moment, because the COVID-19 pandemic have shown everyone that these people are even helpless. But there's one Labour leader in the Irish history, was it Larkin, that said, look, the enemy looks great because we are on our knees. We should get up. The moment you get up, then you see that you can fight to regain your freedom. We have a lot of things in common with the Edos, and that's why I said, let me put up this thesis. What do we have in common? We want the liberty of our people. We want to preserve our culture and our art. We want prosperity for our people. We want to give our God-given talents and resources to better the lives of our people. And as such, as I move forward, I want to bring to your concern too the issue that made me to get into that group to start debating about them. It was the Civil War. The young man was talking about the Igbos trying to invade, talking about Biafra, calling it Biafra, and they try to sell that agenda to an unconvincing mind. Many will say Biafra. What do you understand by Biafra? I mean, these are a group of nations that want to better their life. They want to take charge of their destiny. Nigeria became Nigeria as a matter of the gathering in Berlin, at the Berlin Conference. Many of you do know about the Berlin Conference. And that Berlin Conference necessitated the fall of the Benin Empire, in which Oba Overawan was taken down from his throne and was exiled. And today, the British came back and made sure that they annihilated that kingdom. Because the Benin kingdom was, at that time, posed the biggest threat to the British south of the Niger. If not only south of the Niger, it was the most organized empire at that time, ruling over the Beninese and few vassal states on our side. Then it stretched up to parts of the Yoruba kingdom, because at the time they were in their peak. Normally, empires rise and whittle down based on their war efforts and things like that. And at the end of the day, the British made sure that they stopped the growth of the empire. Today, the Beninese are found only in one state. To tell you that the origin of the problem did not emanate from the Biafrans. So we are not your problem. And as such, I said, let me correct an impression. Many Beninese have always, in today's Nigeria, they've always talked against the Igbos. When we talk about Biafra, they think it's about the Igbos. No. Most of you know the truth. Even there are Beninese who, fortunately, are even in the thick of campaigning for Biafra. Yes, if you do research yourself, you'll see that. The Igbos have been traveling around the world, particularly in today's Nigeria, helping out on economic progress, infrastructural development. Anywhere they settle, they tend to be involved in the upliftment of the people. I saw that when I visited Benin. At the urban market, they were full. They're involved in commerce, trading, paying the tolls, contributing, even marrying Benin women. We've seen that there are many properties there owned by the so-called Igbos. And these are the things you start looking at. In as much as some people are making these criticisms on the fact that they will say that Igbos are dominated on the economic front. But it's as a matter of fact, from their hard work, it's a dent of hard work. They don't invade. The Igbos have never had a history of invasion or occupying people's land. Even the assertions that were made during the war that the Igbos invaded Benin, they never invaded Benin. They were marching towards Lagos, in which it was sabotaged at Ore by the leader of the movement, Victor Banjo. But you do understand the geographic map of, or the geographic importance of Benin. As long as you are moving to the west, Benin is a bridge between us and the Yorubas. So they were moving towards Ore. And you have to understand, it's a fact, and it is there that a Republic of Benin was declared. A Republic of Benin was declared on their march. When they reached Benin, a Republic of Benin was declared. If you check the history very well, you will see that these things are fact. They never intend invading Benin or occupying Benin. Instead, they tried to energize the Edos to declare, to run their own territory by declaring a Republic of Benin, so that they will not be used as a tool to fight against the Biafran forces. And this thing happened, though the movement was botched as a matter of sabotage at Ore. The rest becoming history. I don't want to delve into things that happened on when they were retreating. A lot of horrible things happened, but if we start looking at that, it will look as if we have not forgiven things. I made a quotation from Nelson Mandela at the beginning of this my treatise, I said, in the end, reconciliation is a spiritual process which requires more than just a legal framework. It has to happen in the hearts and minds of people. Reconciliation. One of the problems of Nigeria today is the fact that there's no true reconciliation. We reconciled with Nigeria a long time, in the sense that the Igbos left their territories, moved into the places that they were even massacred hitherto before the full scale of the war ensued. And they started building again. Go to Niger State, Mina, Kontagora, you will see Igbos. They were built there. They have properties there. They even married some of their women. Go to Benin, like I said, I spent about 3 weeks, 2 weeks, and I saw many of my people there. In the market, they were speaking Igbo language, involved in trade. They were married to Benin women, married to Asian women. I went to a place in Ebele. Inside, I have Oliver the Koku and Osadebe were blaring from people's corridors. I was attracted to one of the songs. I went to that place, and the building was built by an Igbo man, the wife from Ebele and Co. So you see, even at the urban markets, you see shops, they contribute. So I corrected my friend at that group. I said, look, the Igbos don't have any problem with the Benin. So don't try to put up a non-existent one. And I want you to understand, the issue of Biafra is not an Igbo thing. I reminded him that, look, this was what the British did. The British tried to separate us from our kith and kin the way they did to the Edos. Before the invasion of 1997, the British knew that the Igwe festival of the Edos, that you don't have to visit the Oba during that period, that the Oba is involved in a spiritual exercise, that there's no visitor. He doesn't entertain visitor. They're always provocative because they were looking for grounds for invasion. At the time, they doctored peppers, treatise, putting marks, and things like that. That was how they used to bring down the Benin Empire and burn down the palace. These things are records. The records are there. If you Google all these things, you will see live pictures. Thanks to the social media, we are now telling our stories. And that's why Africa World newspaper, in which I am the editor of the outfeed, has a condensed message that says, unless the hunted gives his account, the story of the hunt will always favor the hunter. Unless we give our story, unless we give there's always a problem in a one-sided story. That's why when you go to court, they say ibi jus, ibi remedium. Justice, before justice is dished out, the parties must be heard. Both the plaintiff and the accused, they must be heard before a judge makes his judgment. And that was what the British did to destroy the Benin Kingdom. And they brought it in the Biafran nations. You will see that. You will see Igbos in Edo State. The Ibakeres, Ibanke. You see them to many other communities that are in Edo State. You still see Igbos in Delta State. You will see Igbos in Benue State. But when we talk, they will say, no, these people, we are not Igbos. And you too, that is an Edo man or woman, you will tell them, no, they are not Igbos. When actually you know they are Igbos. When you go behind them, you will be talking, these Igbo people. Igbo Akere. You will see somebody from Abo, trying to lay all these claims. We are not into that. The Igbos are not interested in invading anybody's territory. We don't do that. Rather, when we go there, we build. And that is what we do. So it is very bad if you are churning out propagandas out of the figment of your imagination. We respect people's culture. We respect people's way of life. We just want to contribute our own quota and our ideals. And look at Nigeria. We want Nigeria to succeed. But unfortunately, we've seen that the country can never move forward. There's no need batting a pig. Because if you like, bat a pig. If you like, spray perfume, the finest perfume. If you like, take Dior or Gucci or whatever these costly perfumes, spray on a pig will always be a pig. And that's the situation with Nigeria. There's no remedy in the country. There's no remedy. Anybody who is supporting Nigeria, you know that the person is benefiting or the person wants to be sit down and look. Because, look, we can prosper. We can always prosper. The people holding the country together are the ones making us dry. I went to the Oba of Benin's palace. They were taking me round the palace. I was recording, asking questions. They told me everything. I interviewed them, important, taking pictures. They told me. I even learned so many things that I didn't see. From there, I learned that there are 4 societies, sort of, you can call it secret society or 4 palace societies that run that palace. The first one, they call it the Iwebo Society, that is in charge of the Oba's wardrobe. Then the second one, Iwegwe or whatever, that is in charge of the administration of the palace. Then you have the Ibiwe, that are in charge of the harem. The harem means the Oba's wives and women. Then you now get the 4th one, the AYC, the native doctors. Those ones, I saw them that day. I tried to take pictures, and they said, no, I shouldn't take these pictures. Nevertheless, I respect their culture, but part of it is not what I'm interested. And you see some of the, because this AYC, the native doctors, they call it, is a physician of today. In Oyibo parlance, we'll call it physician. But the native doctors, in where I do come from, we have our own native doctors too. Every culture have their own way of life and processes. I saw them, their hair, sort of, if you watch this Sneakers advert, if you know the man, that Sneakers man, he has this kind of hair that's in the middle is a long form of, kids now put on that hairstyle. It's something that is in vogue among kids or people who bask in youthful exuberance. And those native doctors, I see that. You still see that among Benin chiefs. Even on the street, I saw that in Benin, that some of their chiefs wore that kind of hairstyles. So the AYC, I learned about the 4. And what I talked about this palace was that, man, it looked tattered. I was asking this guy, do you know this palace should be one of the most visited places, tourist attraction sites in the world? Because the Benin history is very rich. Across the British invaders looted thousands of artifacts, bronze. Go to the Liverpool Museum. Go to many museums across the world. You see Benin artifacts. You know, that's what millions of pounds there. But go to the Oba of Benin's palace. It looked tattered. It looked unkept. I was saying, why? But because the government of Nigeria does not value the people of Nigeria. This is a country, they are just greedy. They are oil gluttons, just interested of the oil. Thank God that they are not selling oil now. Oil barrels, billions of barrels are floating on the high sea. Nobody's buying them. Factories are all closed. Airliners are grounded. Nobody's buying oil now. That Benin Palace should be raking in millions of pounds every year from tourists. I told the librarian who was taking me around. I even told the Oba's assistant secretary. I said they should be making money from this palace, because I saw many people feed off from that palace, because this is a palace that have existed for centuries, and there's nothing to show for it. So this is the kind of country we have found ourselves in. Yet, some Benin men and women, their problem are Igbos, Biafra, Biafraud. We leave the rats that have invaded our kitchen to steal our roasted fish, and we are busy chasing out flies. The thing that matters to us, we are not looking at that. Look at Nigeria. How is the country going? How is the country being administered? This is a rich country, rich in people, rich in material resources. One of the things that attracted the British to the Benin Empire was their resources. Timber, rubber. They haven't seen that before. When they brought down Ovara Nobisi and exiled him, they now started going into the Benin forests, tapping their rubbers, and many other things. Apart from the waterways controlling trade, what about the palm oil? This kingdom was rich in palm oil and kernel. They're talking about London, Liverpool, all these their big cities. What built these cities? It was our resources. It was resources from empires like the Benin Empire. And this is what we should be looking at. And as such, this was why I decided to get into that group. I said, look, young man, you people should stop additional propagandas here. You don't want to look at the problem we have in Nigeria. The Biafrans have woken up. They want to be on their own. They want to control their God-given talent and resources. They want to spread wealth and prosperity among their people, because we can do that. It is very, very easy. As long as you have a good heart, even if you are wicked, as long as you obey the law. I mean, the Igbo people that we even admire, not that they love themselves, but it's just because that they obey the law to a great extent. They obey the law to a great extent. The law works for everyone, unless you are now stupid. In Nigeria, the law doesn't work. Look at the COVID-19 issue, isolation, social distancing. They make laws. They want some people to obey the laws, but they are not obeying the laws. Look at the man that died the other day, the wicked chief of staff. They're trying to paint him. They're even using some of our people who are greedy and selfish, trying to paint a tattered image. They said, if you die of coronavirus, your relatives will not take your corpse and bury. What did they do? They took their corpse. Although they are still allegations now which they have not, and which evidence are bound that the man that was buried there wasn't even the man. Because we've seen the coffin there. We see the coffin that was used. It was blood stained. If you go and look at it very well, these things are what we don't look at critically. And they try to bamboozle our people, bias our mind. They try to corrupt our people with money, our own money for that matter. This was what the British did when they brought down Ovorowem Dobaisi. They still use few Beninese to sabotage the kingdom. This has always been the attitude of aggressors. And as such, I ask you, my brother and sister from Edo, what is your problem with Biafra? What is your problem with the Igbo man? In everything, somebody must lead. Everybody cannot be a leader. The Igbos don't want to be poor. They don't want to keep suffering. That is why they come to your place. They get involved in the development of your place. They obey your law. They find a way to work hard and make ends meet. They pay their taxes. They marry your women. What else do you want them to do? They have resolved not to beg. They resolve not to live on handout. Because these things are called. It is a people's worldview. It's something that is ingrained in their philosophy, industry. And we still share some of these things with you. As southern neighbors, as neighbors, this is why we are neighbors. When you have a neighbor who works hard, every day he wakes up and go to work, and at the end of the week or end of the month, he gets his salary, his children are looking good, he buys a lives good, he's working hard. Man, at a time, if you are conscious, you will be forced to, man, I have to do something, or I have to look good. We can inspire each other to have a better life. That is what the Igbos do. That is what the Biafrans do. And hence, the march for restoration of the Republic of Biafra. When the Biafran forces were going to, they crossed through the Benin. They never invaded Benin. Their intention was not to invade any place. That is not in the culture of Igbos to invade. The Igbos, if you study political history or even social studies, there's what we call stateless communities. Even you see that today among the Igbos. Every town is independent. Despite that Nigeria have tried to corrupt their political system, you still see the foundation is ingrained among the people. In a state, you see every town is independent, but they still have a way to work together. They deliberate. They believe in democracy. This is where we don't tally with our neighbors. But that has not made us not to respect our neighbor. Like I do say, and I've always said, I respect, I have high regard for Benin culture. Because I'm a man of arts and culture. I love arts and culture. So I have high regard for the Benin culture. I have told you my experiences as a teenager from my high school days in the seminary, in which this is a seminary that is in Igbo land. But they acted that book of Ovorowem Nobaisi. Some of you who schooled with me will attest to that. It was a big time drama. It's a tragic drama. And that inspired me to travel to Lagos and to visit the National Museum to look for the picture of that man, Ovorowem Nobaisi. And from there, it didn't stop. As an adult, I still visited the palace. So, what I'm saying, we don't have problem with the Benin. So, it's unfortunate that some people are trying to create one, but we have decided that we will not ignore them. We will counter them with the truth until they understand. Notwithstanding that there are people who wouldn't want the truth, because when the truth are told, they will not be eaten. We've seen what is happening today in Nigeria, how Nigeria is moving towards collapse, how the Fulanis have decided to finish off the country, to bring in their people from every part of West Africa to continue with their onslaught against our people, to take over people's land. We've seen how farms are invaded, raided, women are raped in the farms, how they are taking their cattle to every part of the country, serving as foot soldiers to Boko Haram in the parts of in the northern parts, and these headsmen are now beginning to kill people wherever they find themselves. We've seen how farmers are killed. We've seen how women are raped. We've seen how our crops are destroyed. We've seen how they are recruiting, trying to recruit our destiny. We've seen there are no plans, no blueprint to develop that Nigeria which you have always thought it's your home. Hence, we are rooting for a Republic of Biafra. And we are not forcing anybody to be part of this republic. We are not forcing anybody. It is a republic of goodwill. We are demanding for a referendum. We want people to vote on their interests. Because as a matter of fact, at the end of the day, we will still sit down and discuss. This is what we have not done. And the Fulani elite doesn't want us to sit down because they know they will lose, because they know that they are not patriotic. They know that they don't want the development of the country. They know that they are invaders. They know that they have a ulterior motive of bringing in their people from West African countries. They think we are Central African Republic, in which they tried to do that, but the people revolted and it became violent. We don't want to be violent about it, but we want our brothers and sisters in the South to understand that the enemy has encircled us. Instead of you fighting among yourself, accusing Biafra, you people, Igbos want to. You forget your enemy that is taking your land forcefully, that is raping your women, that has rendered your children jobless. Look at what is happening. When you talk about prostitution in Nigeria now, they talk about Benin girls. No. It's something that is across the country. Every tribe is involved in that. But they will say the Benin have a highest percentage of that. No. Even if they do, what is the cause? Are we telling ourselves the truth? It's because there's no job. It's because there is no job. Joblessness. So what do you expect a beautiful girl, a grown-up girl to do when there's no job? Of course, most of these young girls have gone further to become breadwinners in their family, to train their younger ones, to invest in Even infrastructures where the government have refused to do that. These are the things. When we say this, it looks as if it's an insult. No. But because we have refused to understand the problems that form the fabric of our foundation and the society, we must begin to look at these things. It is important. And this is why I said I have a message for you, my brothers and sisters from Edo. That the Biafrans don't have any problem with you. They are not seeking to invade your land. They just want liberty to express their God-given talents, to use their God-given resources, and to elevate the status of man. We can do these things. These things they are not rocket science. To administration, to spread wealth, is not rocket science. It's just that we have foreigners who are wicked. There are places that our foreigners may still have opportunity to lead, but they will better the lives of everyone. They will assimilate. Unfortunately, we have horrible people at the helm of affairs, but you have allowed yourself to be used. Yes, all of us make mistakes, but the strength of a man does not lie in not falling, but in rising each time he falls. All of us make mistakes. We fall at occasions, but when we fall, are we able to rise up and keep running? Because you can't achieve your target if you fall and decided not to stand up and keep running. We make mistakes. We fail. I mean, failure is even an achievement. Because when you fail, you decide to wake up and say, look, I have failed. I now understand why I failed. In your subsequent examinations in your test trials, you wouldn't want to fail again. This is why I'm making a clarion call to you. We don't have problems with you. We just want you to control your life. We want our people to be okay. We want them to have a better life. We have the resources. We have what it takes. We can't allow invaders to be running our lives. Instead of you to look at the root cause of the problems, you are pointing accusing fingers at somebody who is in the same chains like you. We don't have problem with the Edos. We have problems with those who doesn't want the progress, those who have let Africa down, those that have been used to bring down the African man, those that show the outside world that the Africans are incapable, that we cannot administer unto ourselves, that we cannot manufacture, that we lack the initiative, that we keep borrowing, borrow. We want to borrow everything. We borrow our pants, we borrow our singlets, we borrow food to eat, we borrow water to drink. We want to borrow everything. Those we are borrowing from are even those we are better off than. Check your history books. You see, in 1897, these same people came into Benin land and burnt down the city in their greed and quest to steal our resources, because the slaves that went to build their cities were not enough. They saw a lot of, I don't want to discuss the political angle of the end of slavery, and on another day we might be talking about that. But I want you that is Doma, you that is from Esako, you that is Bini, you that is Eshan, you that is Opemwen, you that is Uneme, you that is Igbo, that you are denying your Igbo ancestry because of what you are getting, because you are fearful of your neighbor, because you are intimidated, living on the fringes of the boundary of Igbo land. You say that Biafra is a Biafra, that what is being preached for the restoration of Biafra, what is being preached for the liberty of our people is not right. Instead, you want to keep being a slave and being in perpetual servitude to a Fulani that is migrated from Guinea and who has nothing to offer. This message is for you. And as such, it is important for you to understand that we don't have any problems with any Bini. I mean, if we have problems with Bini, we will not be in Benin land or every part of Edo investing, contributing in your upliftment, infrastructural development, your economic progress, marrying your children, learning the language, promoting arts and culture. We will not be there. Yet, these are the same people you have problem with. What is your problem? Then you have ulterior motive, which means you are enemy of progress. Brothers and sisters, that is my message. Let me not digress. I just want to tell you that, look, anybody who thinks that Biafrans have issues with the Edo is mere dishing out propaganda and figments from his own or her own imaginations. It is not. It is a crisis that is non-existent. We regard you people as part and parcel of us. We share a lot of things in common. We have a lot of things, many similarities. We eat the same food. We grow the same cash crops. We eat yam and the same kind of soup. We grow yam, cassava, rice, and corn. Our vegetations are even the same. We have palm oil, and kind of the way you people have rubber, timber. We have a lot of things in common. The same people. So why can't we Why can't we seize the opportunity and liberate ourselves? The moment we begin to bring down these bridges built by propagandists and enemies of our progress, that will be the beginning of our success and liberation. Facebook, as usual, they always target me and my outfit, Africa World, but they are wasting time. This message will always circulate, even if it doesn't circulate today. It is a message for posterity. This is important. This is a clarion call for you that is Edo. Don't see the Igbo as your problem. The Igbo doesn't have problem with you. Instead, he's interested in your progress because he's interested in his own prosperity. He's interested in not being a beggar. He's interested in not being a burden to his society. Hence, he tried to energize or take leadership. You yourself can take leadership. Leadership is not something that you can force, that we are seeing in today's Nigeria, whereby people want to lead by force. Brothers and sisters, leadership are things that come natural. It's a matter of sacrifice. The greatest is the servant. You want to contribute to the upliftment of your community, your brothers and sisters. You want them to be well-to-do, not licking the ass of an invader, somebody that doesn't want your progress, somebody that has no regard for life and property, somebody that just wants to loot and burn, somebody that will go, a coward that will go into your farm and rape an old woman and kill the person. Is that person not a coward? Somebody that will invade you at night when you are sleeping or when the able-bodied person is not at home, he will kill and maim. the person is a coward. So that is my message. It's a clarion call for you, my brother and sister from Edo. The Igbo man doesn't have any problem with you. The Biafran doesn't have any problem with you. They want to better their lives. They want to organize their society. They want you to be free from bondage, because many of your parents were involved in they were involved in sharing crumbs that fell from the invaders' table. And as such, you know, a lot of people are interested in crumbs when they have the megaton. Look at the British that came and took the Benin Kingdom. They knew that they have a lot of resources. They have timber, they have rubber, they have palm oil and kernel. But some few chiefs then betrayed the Oba because of the crumbs they will get from their own resources. Is that not the shamefulness of man? The callousness of man? And that is what we are witnessing today. The way it is amongst you, we still have that in our place. And we are identifying them, because on a rainy day, rain will beat them. Silly. And history will never forget their betrayal. Thank you for listening to me, and God bless you. My name is Ukachukwu Okorie. I want you to spread this message. We don't have any problem with the Benin person. Good luck.
Ọ ga-adịrị gị mma.